Okay, so if you just type in data standards in our search bar on the special education website, on the KDE website, I'm sorry, you can go down here and the first thing you'll see is KSYS data standards. So just click on that and this will show you, it'll show you all the data standards that exist for every program. So this is a good thing to know. There's a lot of information here around enrollment, around English learners, courses. But what we're going to talk about today is the special education data standards and specifically the processes. So, and these will be updated very soon with the screenshots from the new look that's coming this summer. So we're going to look at procedures for releasing a student from special ed services. But I'm going to go here. So I don't know how many of you have been in this enrollment tab, but when you exit a student from special ed services, and I'm going to show you what that looks like in a minute, but these are the 7 options that you have to choose if a student exits special ed for you'll have to choose one of these reasons. And the special ed exit report that we do is for students with IEPs who had an IEP when they exited, ages 14 to 21. So, and there are going to be some 13-year-olds on there just because of the way that the December 1 count works. So it might be 13 to 21. But so you should choose one of these things. And then we talk down here in the procedures for releasing a student from special education services. So this is if a student transfers to regular ed, or I guess it could be from graduating, alternate high school diploma. So how you know when to choose these, I'm just going to talk through these options a little bit. So transfer to regular ed is if a student tests out of special education or if the parent declines services. And so that would be transferred to regular ed. Graduated with a diploma is a regular high school diploma. Alternative high school diploma, when a student leaves the school district, a student on the alternate high school diploma track, when they leave the school district, if they have earned an alternate high school diploma, you're going to choose 3, regardless of whether they wait until they're 21 or not. If they earned an alternate high school diploma, you're going to choose 3. If they did not earn an alternate high school diploma and reached maximum age, which is 21, you're going to choose maximum age. Maximum age is not for students who are in DJJ, Department of Juvenile Justice, and turn 18 and age out of that facility. Maximum age is only for students on the alternate diploma track who turn 21. Deceased, move known to continue. So that would be if a student moves out of state, if they move to another district, if the student goes to private school or homeschool, that would be move known to continue. And then if the student drops out. If at any point the student is moved whereabouts unknown, like if you don't know where they went, then you're going to have to assume that's a dropout. Okay. So when you go into, and So these, excuse me, these processes here, we'll walk you through each of these. So when you go into Infinite Campus, I have this student set up, this fake student. And this student, so they were enrolled and they graduated in less than 4 years. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go in. Whatever the end date is for the enrollment should be the same as the end date for the special education fields. So you're going to go into the student's enrollment. You're going to scroll down to special ed fields and expand this field. And you're going to put in down here, special ed exit status. I'm going to say graduated with a diploma, special ed exit date. I want it to be the same as the exit date from before, which I think was May 4th. So, and then I'm going to hit save. So if a kid graduates with an alternate diploma, we code them 03 regardless of whether or not they plan on returning to school. So that's a really good question, Eddie. I personally would recommend that you wait until the student is not going to be returning again. And then code them with the 03, put in the exit date with the 03. If your district does not want to do that, and I know a lot of districts don't, I would put 03 for both times they exit. But remember, that means the student is going to be on your exit report twice. So that could hurt your graduation rate. It won't hurt your dropout rate, but it could hurt your graduation rate. You change the active drop down to inactive. Susan, that's also a good question. I get that question a lot. I recommend that you leave it active, but actually for that one, it doesn't matter. If you're talking about if you are talking about this special ed status, that one doesn't matter. That only shows up in the district. So actually a lot of people do like to change that to inactive so the students don't show up on all kinds of reports. I thought we marked them alternate diploma in 12th grade and then age out to put max age. I would not recommend putting maximum age. It doesn't really matter, to be honest, in the calculations. It just looks better if the student did earn an alternate high school diploma. You don't want it to look like they aged out, right? Like without earning that diploma. But in the calculations, it doesn't really matter. So, but that's why we recommend waiting until the student is not going to return. I apologize for my voice. It's about gone. So, and all that's laid out in the data standards as well, in the processes data standards. Okay. So yeah, this one, if you want to change it to inactive, that's fine. Because if the student moves, if they move to another district, Infinite Campus is going to look at their IEP and see if they have an active IEP, and it'll set this drop down to whatever the IEP says. So that's fine. And again, the reason I recommend waiting until the student leaves is because anytime you put anything in this drop down, they're going to show up on the exit report if they're ages 14 to 21. And you really only want them to show up one time. So, and it's better for that one to be the alternate high school diploma rather than aged out. But again, it's all a district decision because in the calculations, so the way we do the calculations for graduation and dropout. And I'll put this in the chat. So the way the federal government tells us to calculate it is the denominator will be, let's see, it's graduated with diploma plus graduated with alt diploma plus aged out plus dropped out. And then the numerator will be for graduation will be graduated with diploma. And the numerator for dropout will be dropped out. So the way it works is we'll take the number of students on your exit report who graduated with the diploma and divide it by all students on the exit report who graduated with a diploma, graduated with an alt diploma, aged out, or dropped out. And then the numerator and then for dropout, it's the same exact calculation, except on top, and I misspelled dropped. Yeah. It'll be those students who dropped out divided by those who graduated with a regular diploma, graduated with an alternate diploma, aged out, or dropped out. So that's how the calculations work. So something you might want to think about for when you are determining how you're going to enter students on the alternate diploma track. Okay, any questions about this before I move on to the actual report? Do you make them inactive as well? Yeah, you can make them inactive as well. That's fine. I think I answered that. Their IEP, I suggest you keep their IEP active. Just because I just think it's a good idea for the IEP to show active through the entire time they were active. If you're going to end date the IEP, then it's not going to say they were active anymore after that date. So that's what I recommend. Okay. All right, so let's talk about the new special ed exit report. So if you go down to Kentucky State Reporting, so there is the special ed exit report. That's the old one. We made a few changes to the new one. One of the changes we made is it used to be that for a student to appear on this report, they had to have been enrolled only on the first day. I mean, they had to have been enrolled on the first day of school. If they enrolled on the second day of school, they weren't included on this report. What we were finding was that districts were losing graduates that way because we wanted, maybe they were on vacation the first day of school or sick or whatever. So what we did, we set it up so if the student is enrolled on or before October 1st of the current school year, they will be included in the report. And then we made a few other, so the other changes we made, well, first, let me find this report. So now you're going to go to KDE reports, and you're going to go down to SPED exit detail report. I've had a lot of people tell me they can't find this. I've had a couple of CASIS administrators saying I can't find this, but then when I send them a screenshot, it's there. So they can find it. So it's right here. It's under KDE reports. That's a detail. I have so many reports, it's hard to find them. Okay, so you're just going to go here and click generate report. And I'm not going to do this because it has student names in it. But there's something I do want to show you. There's this this little blurb here about the purpose of this report. And then if you click on the quick reference card, and this is available in a lot of reports that we have in Infinite Campus. If you click on that, it'll give you all kinds of information about what this report looks like, what it includes, and then some suggested uses. And I worked with them on these suggested uses. So I really think it's a good idea to take a look at it. So when you run the report, it's going to look something like this, except obviously you'll have school name, you'll have last name, first name, middle name. I took all that out. These are not real SSIDs. So it gives a lot of information. It might be too much information. I don't know. I ran this on 5.2. So, and because I ran this on 5.2, I don't remember what district it was, but they were still in school. So you're going to see some where it says active enrollment because the school year wasn't over yet. So some of the things you want to look at. We have this special ed exit status on enrollment. That's the one I just showed you with that's the one I just showed you in the special ed. In the special ed fields down here. The other one, KDE determined exit status, and that is based on, let's see, it's based on the enrollment end status. So this enrollment end status right here is what your attendance people put in for local end status. So that's what, so what we did was we took this enrollment in status and sort of tried to determine from this end status and from the diploma type and from the enrollment end date what the KDE determined status, what we feel like it should be. Sometimes it's right, sometimes it's not. Most of the time it's right, but there may be, just because it's highlighted doesn't necessarily mean it's an error. It just means you need to look at it. But if you're missing something here, if these are blanks, sped exit status on enrollment, and there is some kind of KDE determined exit status like graduated, you probably need to put in something here. Like 99% of the time you're going to need to. Otherwise, it means there's an error with the enrollment end status, and you're going to have to talk to your attendance people about it. This right here, where it says sped exit date on enrollment is 4/11, sped exit determined exit date is 4/10. They got that from the enrollment end date here, which is this date right here. Those are 1 day off. Does it really matter that they're not exact? If they're that close, nobody's going to come after you. Not that I would come after you anyway. Well, I might an email. But you know, that's up to you whether you take the time to fix it. It depends on how many you have to fix and all that. See, some other things to look at. If you see, if this says graduated with diploma, I don't have one of these, but if this says graduated with diploma and this says general diploma over here under diploma type, but you put alternate diploma, that's something you need to take a look at, and that'll be highlighted for you. Because we see a lot of that, or vice versa. Maybe this was an alternate diploma, but somebody put in graduated with diploma. That needs to be changed to alternate diploma. Some other things we've seen, something I see a lot of, and I don't see it here necessarily, is somebody will put move known to continue, even if the enrollment end status is dropped out, or I'm sorry, moved whereabouts unknown. So those are things you want to look for. And vice versa. If you have dropped out, over here we have a column. Oh, there we go. Over here we have a column that tells if it was the state final enrollment. So if you have dropped out and the state final enrollment was in, meaning no, then that student was most likely moved on to continue. So you can change that. And those are good things for you because that helps your dropout rate. I've also seen deceased for the SPED exit status, and the state final enrollment was no. So, they enrolled somewhere else after they passed away. Here's one where the district put moved on to continue, the state put dropped out. So this, because the enrollment end status said they dropped out, you need to change this to drop out. And we go over here and look and make sure the state final enrollment is Y. So yes, so this was the last place the student was. So you need to put that in. Now, you might have moved known to continue, and the state final enrollment might be no. But that's okay, maybe, because the student might have moved out of state. Okay, Belinda said, I'm trying to get an error message, or I'm getting an error message when I try to run the report. It says my organization is not licensing special ed exit detail. Any ideas on that one, Matt?
Hey, I'm sorry, my dog was barking. Can you repeat
that? That's okay.
Please?
Sarah just jumped on.
Oh,
we're good. I didn't know Sarah was on. Sorry about that. Yeah, so Belinda, can you, oh, there you go. Thanks, Sarah. Sarah is Matt's my right-hand man. Sarah's my right-hand girl. Sarah actually works in the Office of Education Technology. And so she's my liaison with them and with IC. So she's very helpful. And Matt used to work in OET, and we poached him, and now he's with us, and he knows IC very well as well. So I appreciate both of you. I'm trying to think of other items. So I have not run this report statewide in a while, but these are things to look for. So basically, if the SPED exit status on enrollment does not match the KDE determined SPED exit status, it's going to be highlighted. The same is true for the date. If the SPED exit date on enrollment does not match the KDE determined SPED exit date, it's going to be highlighted. And you need to check into them. And again, they might be right. I mean, it's possible that, you know, something weird is happening. Most of the time it's accurate, but if you have questions, you can always contact me. So any other questions about this report? I know it's a lot of information, but I kind of feel like it should be helpful. Oh, there's also this column that says review. Column B, no, U says review. If you don't know how to turn on, that's something else I wanted to show you. Sorry. To turn on and off these little drop-down things in the home tab at the top, menu tab, go over to sort and filter and click on filter, and that'll turn those on and off. So if you change this to review, something else we find a lot, and I haven't mentioned this yet, is at the end of the year, a lot of districts let IEPs just expire. So a student's IEP may have expired in April, but they didn't bother to meet again to get the new the new IEP put into place. And that causes a problem for us because we need that disability category there. So they need to figure out how to do that. Sometimes it's just that when you closed out the IEP, when you amended to end it or whatever, it cleared out the disability category and you can just go in and pull it back in. Sometimes it's more complicated than that, but we need that disability status in order to be able to include the student. All right. Any other questions? So this report is not due until June 31st. We've had districts request